Your lovely tones have come in. And John LeBon is in here as well. Feckin' hell.
I certainly am. Can you hear me?
It's a bloody...
Yes, sounds fantastic.
It's a conspiracy, John. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm grand, man.
That's good. How are you, Wanda?
You know, I'm beginning to get my voice back, and doing well.
Yeah, I just clicked on my subscriptions list, and there's Delcroix doing a live show about Flat Earth, and I thought, well, I'd come and say hello, see what's cracking.
I think that's pretty awesome. We were just discussing paywalls. Well, you can either say it right now, or you're going to hear it when you play it back.
I can't even do a bloody hangout without people finding out about it.
Well, yeah, that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm only joking, but yeah, that's the thing. You know, we were just talking about that. It developed into that.
We were also discussing all the infighting, and it's like, why does it have to be cultish? Why does there have to be a following? I just listen to everybody. I mean, I listen to everybody. I listen to Morgal. I still listen to Jeff Stewart. I still listen to Matt Parland and Lorian Lawrence. And, well, I don't listen to Patricia Steer because I never have. And,
Can I ask you a question, Wanda?
Yes.
If you weren't listening to these people, whether you spend 5 hours or 10 hours a week or whatever it is, if you weren't listening to them, what would you be doing instead?
Well, arguing on Facebook a lot with people, which is what I do. I get on with my life. I have this stuff in the background.
Here's why I ask, because we all need entertainment, right? Like, we all need to relax every now and then.
We do.
And I think most people who are following these shows, it's purely entertainment. And then I think within that group of people, there's varying degrees of belief or adherence to Flat Earth as an actual physical representation of the Earth. And then there's the social side and the rest of it. But most of these people, they're never going to do anything productive with a single thing they've heard, right? And I wonder, because I know for a fact, I've spoken with you off air before, I know that you're wise to a whole bunch of things that do affect us every day. And I wonder sometimes if we're allowing ourselves to get distracted by this Flat Earth online scene.
No. It keeps me up to date on what's new. I don't want to miss anything because, I mean, there's some great minds out there, and they're discovering these amazing things, and none of them are.
What are they discovering? What are they discovering?
That it seems likely that there might be a dome.
Really? Based on what?
Based on, there has to be a vacuum of some sort, and it does appear when have you been checking out Crow? No, I'm not saying I believe any of it. I'm just saying I'm finding the topics that the way they take them apart and develop them, it's fascinating. And I'm not saying I believe any particular thing, which I don't. Well, I do kind of think that the Earth is not a spinning ball. For certain, it's not spinning. And if it's a ball, we live on the top of it. So I need to.
Yeah, but like we all established 12 months ago that heliocentrism was a fraud. But what new has been discovered in the 12 months since then? Absolutely nothing.
That space might be water, which I thought was like totally ridiculous when I first heard it. But then I had a friend of mine that was going, well, I don't think you're being fair with Crow 777, because I was like, that's just too silly. Space is water. This is a take on what it looks like. The astronauts are swimming in a pool. And he goes, well, I just don't think you're being fair. So I started listening, and to be fair to his saying I wasn't being fair, I really wasn't being fair, because it's very interesting. It's just interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's not. No one's learning anything, are they? Not about the shape of the Earth, anyhow. Like that's not what these people are doing.
It's not what a lot of people are doing. But you can't force anybody to wake up. That's the realization I've come to. I just slow and steady put my knowledge out there. Would you like to hear my latest?
Sure.
It's short. Okay, George Soros Okay, here's my theory: is they need to put a face, that we can focus on a face, focus our anger on a face, and the name George Soros. Okay, when I hear the word Soros, I hear sorrows, and George abbreviated as Geo. So doesn't his name really mean World Sorrows? It's spellcrafting, and it's a Freemasonic calling card.
So what you're saying is the first three letters of his name are like Geo meaning earth, and
Yes.
then Soros, sorrow, as in woes or badness. So like badness, that sadness for the world.
Yeah, World Sorrows.
Yep.
Jokes. Yeah. Because they always leave a calling card with all of their, fake events, like Lavoy Finicum, the militia guy that they tell us that got shot. Okay, well, you look at the name Finicum, okay, and this is crude, but, it came from the mind of Freemasons. I'm just decoding it, if you will. I don't even like that word decode, but, all right, when you come, you're finished. So you're shot. Get it? It's like a Freemasonic sick joke.
Yeah, I get you. I wouldn't put it past them.
Right. And this is this is a way to teach people that they can sort of pull this together if they just put some thought into it and think about how am I being scammed instead of believing every story that comes down the pike.
Yeah, all the world's a stage. All the men are merely players. They have their entrances and their exits. So it's all a big show. I'm pretty certain of that.
Yep.
Hey, here's a question for you. How far back do you think history goes? History is in real history.
Oh my God. I don't know. I'm starting to not even believe we were ever cavemen.
Of course we weren't cavemen. That's ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
You don't still believe in human evolution, do you?
Come on, John. Now, come on.
Do you ever listen to that New Earth chick? Who does the ancient megaliths and things like that? New Earth.
I've heard of her one day. Yeah, they do some strange stuff.
Some of her stuff is really, really fascinating. It's really amazing, and it's not the things that we're learning in school. We're learning all the mundane things that they want us to know.
I would recommend you look into someone, John, if you haven't heard of him already. Now, this is one thing, right?
Please don't say flamenco. Please don't say flamenco.
No, I was going to say somebody else altogether. But
heard of flamenco.
It's one of the. It's somebody that other people kind of go, oh, he's a shill or whatever. But the way I look upon it is, he's got some fucking information as well, and I'm not going to be deterred. We saw enough of that in the early days of the flat Earth on Fakeologist, where people were just flipping out and saying, "Don't even go there. Don't even look into it." Now, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't. Well, you could say I would have had 2 years that I haven't wasted. But then, in another way, I would have had, I wouldn't have had 2 years that I've been able to fucking see this thing develop, and to me, it just adds, adds to my learning curve of, everything else, that's, it just adds up to it. Do you remember that, John, where people were actually saying, don't even look into it? They're all shills. They're all fucking psyops.
They're going to hurt the truth movement. It's to discredit the truth movement. We've got this great truth movement, and any day now, the mainstream is going to take us seriously, and we can't say anything that the masses don't want us to say. Oh, by the way, JFK wasn't really killed, and nothing on TV is real, but we can't say anything the masses won't believe. So, truth movement, we can't talk about the shape of the earth. They'll think we're crazy.
Yeah, well, that's talking about the general people out there in the internet. And then if you kind of focus in more towards what used to be the hoaxer community, there's still a few of them out there, fucking ramming on. That seemed to get co-opted and pointed into that direction of the flat Earth and all that. So like I saw that there. I saw the breakdown in the so-called hoaxing community, the people that were pointing out Sandy Hook as if, and like these are the same people who turn around and tell you that like 3,000 people died and in 9/11, but yet Sandy Hook, is a hoax, But anyway, that's just another little part of it. But I seen that transition of people, and this is where we're at now. Well, this is where we were at like 2 years ago. The whole thing was opening up, and people were looking into it, and people were doing shows and talking about it, and it was all well and good. But we see what's happened now. It's just like a complete. I don't know. I don't even want to even try to describe, what I think is going on, because it's just too ridiculous, maybe, to comprehend, or to contemplate, I should say, not to comprehend.
Well, you and Wanda have been doing this for a lot longer than me, so I'm not here to give you two any advice. But for me, one of the things I've learned over the last little while is that most of the people here, and I mean the vast majority, I'm talking well over 90% of people who are involved in this, don't really care about the truth, and they don't really care about their fellow man. That's the reality. In their mind, they care about the truth, and in their minds, they care about their fellow men. And they're not even necessarily bad people. They're just hopelessly conditioned people who probably never become anything close to the humans that they were supposed to be when they were born, right? And it's not even their fault. They were conditioned even while they were in the womb. They were sprayed with, ultrasound, and as soon as they got out of the womb, they were swaddled and given chemicals all over their bodies, and they've been turned into the gamma or the epsilon people that Aldous Huxley spoke about in Brave New World. It's not even their fault that they are this way. That's how they are. And once you come to understand that most of the people in this scene are utterly hopeless, don't really care about the truth, don't really care about their fellow man, it changes everything. Because now it's not your fault to help them. You can try, but all you're going to do is upset yourself if you go out of your way to do it. So put the information out there, put the reason out there, show them how you've improved your life. If they don't want to follow you, if they don't want to follow that basic idea of here's how to improve your understanding of the world, that's up to them, and there's nothing that you can do about that. There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, well, you see, John, we have the initial thing, like when you find out about stuff, and I'm going back years now at this stage, but you learn pretty quick. You're trying to tell your next door neighbor or your family. It's ridiculous, right? Now, I already experienced that before the whole flat Earth thing. They already think I'm fucking a bit weird, or eccentric, or whatever you want to call it. But I can understand how people are still fucking forget about like just rushing around trying to earn the money to pay for a fucking roof over their head that they shouldn't have to pay for in the first place, right? And that's not being that communist or anything. That's just pointing out the bullshit, right? But then they're also completely been bombarded. Like us all, we've all. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder how certain people fucking just like what's waking up. We all awake to various things, and then we progress there, and we wake up to other things. But at the same time, you might be aware of something, but at the same time, you could still be fucking brainwashed by it. And that's what we seem to be in, this fucking sea of ideas, other people, and all the baggage. We all have our baggage. We all have our fucking, indoctrination, brainwashing. We start to wake up out of it, and then there's various people. And then you can say about shills or people that are already there. I've already stated this before. The very fact that we're talking on this internet, right? It's a great telecommunications. It's a great way of meeting people, and it's a great source of info if you know you can even believe the info. But at the same time, they have, you know, sucked people into that forum. It's like another place to fucking, you know, maybe I'm going on too much about it, but I'm just trying to explain it, you know, the best I can. And you know, everybody has their own thing, but you see, this is the thing. Some people just latch on to a particular, you know, idea, or they plant their flag in there, and there you have your dichotomies, your different groups, and it's no different from everything else. You know, before the internet, people got together. They didn't like what the elites were doing or the government, you know, whatever, and they get together, and you know, people would be sent in there, and the best way to fucking lead your, you know, opposition, or the best way to fucking defeat your opposition is to lead it, you know, as is bandied about so many times. So
That's not the way to defeat your opposition. You want to control your opposition. Do you know
that's
what I mean?
what I'm saying.
They don't really
Control it.
They don't
Yeah.
need to defeat us. They've already got us defeated, man. Like, look at us. Look at people today, man. It's
sad. It is sad. And
they're in complete control. I know.
It is. But, you know, we're kind of left with whatever intellect we have, and we're sitting here talking about stuff, and individually we have to fucking deal with the day-to-day of this. I don't know. There's a lot of people out there that comment on YouTube, and their little icons, and their little, you know, they're fucking, you know, people, allegedly. And, you know, I often wonder, you know, how many of them are real? How many of them are actually having to deal with the day-to-day stuff, and then actually get on the internet and talk to other people about what's going on, you know? After.
Well, I'll let you know on something, right? I do a live show on Nice or on Orlando or whatever. Suppose it gets 30,000 views, right? 30, comma, 3 more zeros, right? 30,000. If I check my YouTube stats, it tells me the average view length of that 30,000. It's only a few minutes. So most of those 30,000 are from autoplays where someone's watched another video, my video has come up, and then within a few seconds or a few minutes, they've clicked off. So if you do the maths, I've done the maths a few times now, I would estimate out of 30,000 views of that live coverage, you're probably talking maybe a couple thousand people are watching most or all of that show, right? A couple thousand. It's not that many. There's not that many people involved in this scene at all, which is one of the reasons why so many jokers and clowns can rise to the top of it. You know, people who give no new information, show no reason or evidence or logic, show nothing that would give you any reason to think anyone should listen to them, but they rise to the top. It's easy for shit to rise to the top when there's not much there, you see.
Yeah, and you know something, man? I was very surprised when you started doing them. Oh, here's the latest fucking, you know, false flag, or is it real kind of thing. And I was scratching my head, honestly, when you did them. You know, is there any reason, you know, why you did them? Because I thought that you were sort of beyond that after doing, you know, your video on baby hoaxes and all that, you know, bullshit that we can see, you know. Was that just the gauge? Was that just the gauge, the interest in what was going on, or I don't know.
Yeah, so I explained this when I was on that Fakeologist audio chat, and I had to explain it twice because somehow Ab or Tom Delcroix didn't understand me the first time. So I had to explain it a second time. When you cover the baby hoaxes live, you get bigger audiences, and you get subscribers, right? So just in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've gotten like 400 or 500 extra subscribers, mostly from covering those baby hoaxes. Now, how many of those subscribers are willing or able to understand the toddler hoaxes or the kiddie hoaxes? I don't know. But at least by covering the baby stuff, you get more people in. You see? It's like a catch-all.
Yeah.
You actually proved another point there. They're not going to learn anything if they're only going to watch it for fucking 2 or 3 minutes. And then out of all the you know, the thousands of actual listeners, they're only listening to a few minutes, so they're not even getting it. Maybe
Well, the people who are subscribing will be the people who are listening for more, won't it? Like the people who just watched it because of autoplay and then clicked off, they're not going to subscribe. But the people who watched it and then enjoyed it, they're the ones who will subscribe. So they might be capable of understanding the high-level hoaxes. See?
Yeah.
Yes. I know there's a lot of people watch and they don't comment ever.
Yeah.
You don't know where they're coming from, but I think that a lot of people are afraid. Maybe that's just born out of fear, but they're trying to get as much information they can about the world around them. But who knows? I could be wrong, because you know people are evil. Everything you are saying about people, it is true. I've learned the hard way. I've learned through trusting too many people. You know, being pie in the sky, optimistic, and you know, I'm not optimistic, but what's an A word? You know, just
you're just, yeah, I know what you mean. You're being you're
rose-colored glasses on, wanting to believe the best about humanity, and well, frankly, I don't think that it's there. Yeah, maybe I had to.
Yeah, I think one of the toughest aspects of all of this is having to understand that your friends and your family and people you care about are hopelessly conditioned, right? It's, for me, it's not even so much, because I know some people, they try and tell their family, oh, did you know about this? And their family kind of shut them down. I've never had that. I've had something a little bit worse in the sense of I don't even really talk about this stuff with them, friends and family mostly. It's more me just sitting there when they're talking about this thing on TV or this hobby of theirs that they got from TV or this belief that clearly comes from TV, and understanding the conditioning, almost watching as a third person. That's difficult. Like, these are people you care about, and you can see the Pavlovian conditioning that's being performed on them. That's difficult. But I think over time you do become desensitized to it. Like, you do learn to accept it and try and lead a happy life. You know, I think so.
Well, you know, it's even a fucking optimistic one is what you were looking for there. And I like to tend to think that I'm optimistic as well, but sometimes I just get fucking, you know, pissed off with everything that, you know, you see what's going on. Especially when you see the despondency of people who maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago you were telling them and they're grand. And then they turn around, like, you know, a day or two later and they're going, isn't that terrible what's going on there in France? And
yes.
No, do you not remember what I told you?
Right. You thought you brought them along, and then they're just like you said nothing.
But they honestly, I swear to fact, they just seem to go back, and they just go back into the television. They go back into. It's like they keep on, you know, they keep on fucking bringing this stuff. You know, they take it in, and you know.
And then you don't know if you can't trust them, or if they genuinely are that thick.
I think they just genuinely believe. You know, it's on the television. There's a guy in a white coat telling you about stuff, and you know, incorporated with everything else, they just like slip back into.
But don't forget my ex-family. I mean, I'm convinced. I don't want to tell tales out of school or anything, but I'm convinced they have an involvement in this. You know, that they're a part. Well, not my ex-husband, but you know, definitely members of his family are knowingly a part of this.
Well, they're who knows type people, you know.
Well, I know I got tossed out of the family quicker than you can say. And given a choice, I could stay in the family if I forgot about this, you know, waking up nonsense. You know, after, you know, being in the family 17 years and being told, you know, how much I'm loved, how intelligent they think I am, and, you know, we vacation together every year, this, that, and the other thing, see each other several times a year, even though we live in different states. And then next thing you know, I'm awake, and everybody's trying to tell me everything, all my perceptions are not, you know, as I'm perceiving them. And all of a sudden, what happened to this? You know, y'all think I'm smart stuff, you know, they just went out the window. And, you know, subtly trying to change my mind. And then I'm delivered basically by my ex-husband an ultimatum that, you know, why can't I just forget all this? You know, we could continue to have our happy marriage, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. but if I won't, then, you know, that's the end of the marriage. Basically, handed an ultimatum just like that. And while I'm living with my choice, because for me, it's unconscionable. And I said, how can you, go along? How do you pretend? How do you do that? And he goes, well, and he said, well, I'm afraid. And he's a very honest man. I think the world of my ex-husband. He's a very honest man, and he just straight up said, well, I'm afraid, because I know he's a decent man, but, you know, people go along for fear is a really good motivator. But you need to face your fears, I think. But we're all cut of a different jib, I guess.
Yeah, well, we just got to keep on getting on with our stuff, you know. Fucking, it doesn't help then when, you know, you're looking at, you know, the latest stuff on the internet.
Well, this infighting with the fire, I tell you. I'm going to tell you a little story. Would you like to hear it? Okay, did anybody hear that hillbilly diatribe that he went on against the wife of Jeff Stewart?
Yeah, well, that's all that drama stuff. But
Was that one of the most filthiest, ongoing things that I've ever heard come out of a man's mouth? It's there are ways to disrespect somebody without being that filthy and foul-mouthed and filthy-minded about it. And
yeah, but why do you pay attention to these people, Wanda? I don't get it. Like,
I didn't pay attention to it. I shut it right off, okay? But I do follow these people because every now and then there's this guy that used to come on Jeff Stewart that just would say the most fascinating things. And I was like, wow, great, because I'm up for learning, you know, and sometimes you got to filter through a lot of craparola, but, you know, then there's some gems in there, okay, and I just store them. So, but in any event, I heard that, and I just shut it down because I'm like, you know, I don't need to hear that kind of crap. I mean, you just kept going on and saying the most raunchy things that no man should ever say to a woman. I don't care how angry she gets you. So, anyhow, you know, Jeff Stewart was coming out saying things about him, but he didn't repeat, to his credit, he didn't repeat the conversation because it was very filthy and very nasty. And I just made a simple comment like, you know, because he said he's bleeding subscribers because, you know, of Jeff's attack on him. And I said, no, you know, I heard that diatribe, and if he's bleeding subscribers, it's because of the words that came out of his mouth. It was filthy and it was beyond the pale. And I said, you know, and then I made a comment about cigarettes, although I didn't mention them. I just said, you know, anybody who would get that guy's back after the words that came out of his mouth, you know, really is like lacking a moral compass or something along those lines, right? So then I get this email that Jeff Stewart must have taken down instantly, and it's from Nathan Oakley, and it's asking me, and I've still got the email, so I, you know, there was a reply to my comment on the YouTube, the comment I left, saying, Wanda, what planet are you on? And then the next thing I know, Jeff Stewart comes on and replies with, to his credit, he just stopped me, said, Nathan Oakley, I'm not involving you in this. You've never said anything bad about me that I know of. We're both fighting for the truth, whether your truths are the same or not. I'm not after you unless you're part of the PSYOP, and I don't think you are. Okay, and I was actually going to click on it and read, you know, the comment from the start to the finish, but I pretty much laid it out for you. But I did click on it, and the whole thing is now a private video, so it's completely gone. But now I gotta wonder, first of all, Antonio Subaretz, I'm sorry, but anybody who can say the things that hillbilly said, I mean, I wouldn't think anything of value would come out of the guy's mouth after hearing it. And then, you know, they're making it sound like it's Jeff Stewart's problem. No, I'm sorry, that's beyond the pale of being disrespectful. You can shut people down without coming anywhere near what he said. And then for Nathan Oakley to, you know, question my sanity, if he didn't hear that diatribe, well, okay, maybe that's understandable, but I made myself pretty clear that he said some disgusting things that shouldn't be uttered by a man to a woman, particularly somebody's wife. So why is he asking me what planet am I on? Like a lunkhead.
Why are you paying these people, like, time is so precious, why would you sit around talking about this?
No, it's not. I'm saying it because it happened, and it makes me wonder, what are these people at the end of the day. Because, you know, when people let out things like that, that's showing their natures. That's showing their natures. I would be very shocked to get that type of response from you on a comment. You know what I'm saying? And that would tell me something about yourself.
Wanda, can I ask you something, right?
Yes, certainly.
And look, you're not on the fucking stand, and, you know, JLB, relax there. We're not putting anybody on the stand.
Right, I'm just defining what I'm seeing in people's character flaws.
I want to say this as well, because I think this is very important. Right, one day, you know me how many fucking years now at this stage? It must be 3 or 4 at least, you know. And we know of each other before that, right? Out there in the internet, not just confined to this little corner of the internet. Might I say, heavily controlled corner of the internet called YouTube and Google, right? And that's the thing, right? I've always been going on about the fucking psyop, and since I found out about media fakery and everything else, and you know, I mightn't be like certain other people who just dismiss the whole thing, right? Just go, that's a psyop. I'm not listening to it, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
If I did that, I wouldn't have found out other information about stuff. You know, like, I call it what you like, but there's a cast of characters out there. And even if they have a smidgen of fucking information, it's at least it's worth looking at, right? And that's to answer your question as well, John. Why would we spend so much time on it? Why would I, you know, why is Del fucking here? You know, basically question. And it literally is that. Fucking gleaming a bit of information, but also witnessing, right? All I can say is the internet, for starters, has been given to us. So we come up to the internet, and we go into it, and then we find all this stuff, and then we're looking at it, you know. And I've been saying for a long time, Wanda, I even apologize to some people, but at the same time, you know, I can't help it. But I think the majority of this stuff is scripted. And if you want to go back to the latest thing with Hillbilly, right, who appeared about a month ago or maybe 6 weeks ago, and fuck's sake, who wouldn't love Hillbilly? I remember Jed Clampett when I was a child. Where did I see that? On television. Just the same place I saw the moon landings, and just the same place that I've been seeing everything else up along. So, for starters, you've got another character, right, in this thing. And then the Jeff Stewart character has been around for a while, right? And he's like the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket. He just rips off and he's freaking out. There's always a freak out because there's always somebody doing something, and that's the freak out.
Oh, he's not causing trouble.
Suppose it's all scripted. What's wrong with that? I mean, people are going to sit around and watch them. So suppose it's scripted. What's wrong with that? People sit around, they watch them, they talk about them, just like a soap opera. If you're going to pay attention to it, even if you think it's scripted, why shouldn't it be scripted? Why not? Who cares?
Well,
if this is just entertainment and people will watch for the drama.
John, I'd actually say at the end of the day, then, why would any of us be here passing comment at all? You know?
Because it's for entertainment. It's purely for entertainment, and it's this isn't entertainment. There's truth involved. What truth is there? Sitting around talking about personalities, there's no truth involved in that.
No.
Well, I'm talking about personalities because this helps me differentiate between who is, you know, genuine and who isn't. So I think that Nathan Oakley, I could pretty much cross off the list, and so can I Subarex, and so can I Jeff Stewart, because, you know, he's been not, well, you know what, not even want to say that. I think he's just a little more passionate and impetuous, although I've seen him causing trouble too. But, you know, it's, I don't know how I say this.
John.
So what is entertainment? We're either watching that or we're watching Night Court or some crap, you know, whatever. Judge Judy or something. I don't know. Why not?
Well,
Exactly. Why not? It's just entertainment. But what I think is happening here is
no,
people
but
are
it's not.
they're telling themselves that it's about the truth. Oh, I listen to these people because I want good information. No, if you wanted good information, you look for it yourself. You
I,
listen to these people for drama, for entertainment, for
yeah,
personality.
no, hang on, John. I still think that there's more than drama and entertainment here.
Yes.
Now, I already said earlier on, you've got the cheerleader groups and all that. So you've got people there. They're being entertained, right? The thing is, we're trying to fucking glean some kind of information out of this, and it's like you're squeezing a fucking orange, and there's very little coming out now at this stage.
You know what? I know
All
how to
we're
say it.
seeing-
I know how to say it, if I may.
All right, go on.
Like, there are people in place. Well, there are people out there who are definitely trying to give us good information from what they're learning, and they're learning too, and they're not pretending. They're not just learning it too, but they're trying to tell you. Then there are people out there who are there to distract you from that learning.
And we're trying to figure out which is which.
Use the discernment there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the sensible thing to do then just to be to focus on the information rather than the personalities and the drama?
Well,
Right.
The best way to gain
how
good
do you-
information is to
because you
focus on the information. And most of these people don't provide any information. They just make claims, crazy,
when I
ridiculous, wild claims.
I'm making a claim, but I can also back it up with emails that I received in my inbox.
Yeah,
of
you
them
can, but the
in
people you're
comments.
listening to can't. I mean, look at Bob,
Well, I
right? Look at
understand
Bob from
This
Blowbusters.
is a tool I
He-
use to discern up from down. You know. This
Sure,
is
but you
just
can do that
how
by yourself. You don't need to pay attention to these characters for their information. You can just
Well,
find your own information.
I wouldn't have really known that about if I didn't hear that conversation. I wouldn't have known how filthy, and useless Hillbilly is, and I wouldn't have known that Superet's, was defending him, and now Nathan Oakley. Now
That's
that
the
tells me
personality stuff. That's the personality stuff. There's no truth in that. That's just personality stuff.
do you know?
Well,
Like the truth about the
perhaps.
world.
I would even go
Perhaps.
one step further. This is all the internet stuff. We are looking at these people, and let's have a little joke here. The preponderance of fucking evidence has shown that this whole plethora of characters and people and hangouts, they are all fucking contrived. I fucking hate to say it. Right, I'm on a hangout now, and JLB and Wanda is here. And I'm sure all the other contrived fucking hangouts that I've just sort of said are going, oh, JLB is in Delcroix. So that'll be another fucking part of the drama. But what I'm saying is the whole fucking thing was set up, right? Fucking, what's his name, right? He never heard a
Why would they have to set it up?
No.
We've got people who tell themselves they're here for truth.
Man, we're
who
sitting on it.
voluntarily in hangouts talking about personalities and drama.
Yeah,
Why
but
would they have to set
we're
any of this up?
we are sitting in a platform that's already been contrived and already been made up by the so-called military-industrial complex or whatever you're having yourself, right? We can all point our fingers. But the fact is, we are on a communication web that has been put there. It's not, none of us invented this, and it's there, right? So when all these fucking people appear and all these characters appear, and then there's the likes of people like I'm going to say it myself, honestly, right? I know myself, I'm not a fucking psyop dude, and I know Wanda's is not, and yourself, John, right? I've seen you since like back in the day when you were doing the original, Baller Earth Skeptic shows and stuff, right? But there's a fucking there's a sort of a layout there already, a platform that's already laid out there, and it's catching people from every
I think
angle.
it's caught you and Wanda. I think you and Wanda are still caught in it.
I'm not doing anything I don't want to do.
Oh man,
Exactly. That's the whole point. No one's. If there are people out there who want to spend their evenings watching other people in Google Hangouts talk about the shape of the Earth, that's up to them. It's just entertainment. What's the problem?
No,
Because I don't
this is
agree that it's just entertainment.
man, I don't think I'm caught in it. What? Right, I might be caught up in the whole fucking, psyop, but I'm not caught up in like, you know, just watching television and commenting on the individual dramas,
How's
because
this any different to watching TV?
I fucking think that all the individual dramas, all these protagonists per se, are all part of the fucking psyop.
Maybe they are. Maybe they are. You and I could sit here talking about last night's episode of MasterChef, and I could say, look, these MasterChef participants, they're actually actors, okay? And then you could say, oh, no, they're not actors. I think they're legitimate. And we could sit here for an hour talking about it. What difference does it make? That's what Flat Earth is. Maybe these people are paid to be here. Maybe they're not. It's just entertainment. Why are people who think they're here for truth sitting around talking about entertainment like it matters? It doesn't matter. It's
don't know.
It's all a fake pony show. It's
Okay.
nonsense.
It doesn't matter to you, and that's your opinion.
Yours, man.
It matters to me.
Yeah, and you let it matter to you, and that's up to
Yeah,
you.
I want
like
it
you
to
said.
matter to me. Okay. It does matter to me. I'm cool with that. I feel like I'm learning things. It's a lot more, it's a crap load more exciting than anything I ever learned in school.
I know people who watch MasterChef, and they tell themselves they watch it because they're learning how to make new recipes. They never cook at home. They rarely cook at home, right? But all MasterChef. Today we learn how to make a new vegetable lasagna. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you're not watching it for that. You're watching it for entertainment. That's why you love this character and you hate that character. You hope that this judge doesn't get renewed for the next season because he's too nasty. It's all nonsense. It's all just emotions and drama for the masses.
I know that's nonsense, and you're being led by your emotions.
Yeah, I cook my own dinners. I don't watch MasterChef. So, you know, let's just get back here to, okay. So we're all on the internet, right?
Right.
We're all on the internet for starters, right? And that's the one thing. We're on the internet. So, you know, we're all entangled in the net, in the web, right? And it's really good when I see fucking Joseph Turcotte in my chat box. I think, right, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think he's a real bot, what do you call it, a letter bot. He just comes out with sentences. I think he's an experimental bot. I'm only joking. That, you know, great way to kill a conversation. But
Hey, there's one topic I wanted to get your opinions on, guys, real quick. I'm working on this video at the moment about Nikola Tesla. What do you guys think of Nikola Tesla?
I think it's a fraud.
yeah,
Why? Because we're always given the lone shooter. We're always given, okay, in all of the Republican Party, you've got who is the good guy? Ron Paul. All of the Democratic Party, who's the good guy? Dennis DeCinich. You know, it's so you've got all of the people that are in control of all this, that, and the other thing, and then you've got Tesla over here. You know, this lone standout, and then all you get for evidence of anything that he ever did is this thing you can put your hand on and it makes your hair stand up, right? It tosses out sparks, a Tesla coil. That's all you get.
So here's why I ask, because a lot of people in the so-called alternative media, they talk about Nikola Tesla and his free energy was suppressed, and they tried to stop him, and especially people who believe in Judy Woods, they're like, oh, because Judy Woods talks about this particle beam, right, or a direct energy weapon, and even she references, or even her supporters reference people like Nikola Tesla as like, oh, it's his weapon, right? So I started looking into this, and it turns out that Nikola Tesla, the story is so obviously fabricated, it's ridiculous. Like, I've been doing this research into it, hours and hours, and I find myself thinking, this has only taken me a few hours to work out where this whole bullshit story came from, who's pushing it, etc., etc. How can all of these supposed researchers believe the Tesla story? They're obviously not doing any research into it,
And they're not
yet
doing
people listen to these people.
Yeah. See, I'm more like you because I don't believe, I need to be convinced something is real anymore. I believe nothing right off the bat.
Like this Tesla guy, the main guy one of his main spruikers is a guy called Mark Seifer, right? Now, Mark Seifer doesn't have a degree in history. What he has his qualifications in is graphology. Now, graphology isn't forensic handwriting investigation. It's looking at people's handwriting to tell their emotion or their emotional state, right? It's a pseudoscience, and this same guy is also into things like Carillion photography. Well, who else is into Carillion photography? Your mate Bob from Globebusters, right? It's all this pseudoscientific bullshit. Anyway, Mark Seifer, he's the one who published this book called Wizard about Nikola Tesla, and now you see him popping up in mainstream articles saying, oh, Tesla did this, Tesla did that. If you look at Seifer's work, Seifer says that, oh, Tesla developed this space beam. But where did Seifer get his information about Tesla's space beam? From a guy called Puerich. Now, this Puerich guy also claims a whole bunch of other crazy stuff, including that he developed a patent to drive cars on water, right? More pseudoscientific nonsense. Then if you read further into him, there's like a Red Ice article about, oh, Puerich, the Rockefellers tried to suppress him because his water is... Like, it's all crap. It's all nonsense. No one double checks it.
John, man, Wanda, there is such thing as free energy, right? Do you know what it is?
No.
Right? You are a free energy unit. John, you're a free energy unit. And I'm a free energy unit. Right? Self-sufficient. We have to feed ourselves, and we expel our energy. And who's the recipient of our free energy? Because it's not us.
Well, it's not exactly free then, is it?
No, it is free, Wanda. It's free. Who's paying for it? Who pays?
Well, it's an energy in, energy out system, even by nature, you know.
Right. We have to pay for our own food. We have to, after ourselves, we have to pay for our own homes. But yet, there's an external force out there who taxes us and takes our energy away from us. So we're the free energy.
Well, they're working on free, that's for sure.
No, I don't think you're getting me. We're all
I am getting you.
Free energy people.
Well, they're paying us a pittance, so it's not exactly free, but they're working on free. That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah.
We're talking about different things. Delcroix is trying to say that the people who run the show, they're using us as free energy, a little bit like the human cells in the Matrix. And what Wanda's talking about is them actually having like a physical free energy machine that they can use for free energy, which some people say they might already have, and they're just charging us for electricity. What I'm talking about here is the way that people will believe stories without double-checking so much as a single source. So if you've got people with a 10,000 view episode of Globebusters and they're trying to tell you that Nikola Tesla had suppressed energy weapons, then you know you're listening to people who don't actually double-check the first reference of their claims. Then you have to ask yourself, why are you listening to these people? And the answer is because it's entertainment. And that's what I was saying when I first got here. The majority of people who are here, they're just here for entertainment. And that's fine. That's fine. We all need entertainment. So long as we're honest with ourselves, why we're listening to these people. It's for entertainment. Okay. And that's where YouTube's really powerful, because we're like, oh, I'm on YouTube. They're on YouTube. They're people just like me. Or are they just like me? You see, like, we can relate to them more than we can people on television, because television, they're actors and actresses and they live in Hollywood or whatever. So we can't relate to them. But they're on YouTube, so we can relate to them now. This is real. This is people just like me talking about the shape of the Earth. This is real. It's just entertainment. It's nonsense. 12 months ago, the spinning ball Earth was debunked. 12 months later, people are still repeating the same fallacies and the same nonsense. They're not going anywhere. They don't want to go anywhere. They're happy where they are. This is just entertainment for them. It's that simple.
Oh, I know something. Eclipses were just explained, but I can't exactly... I meant to go back and watch it and really learn it, but I haven't had the time to. Anyhow, speaking about, Tesla, I know you know this. It concerns dinosaurs. Now, who were the two guys that started to kick this whole thing off? Edward Drinker Cope, and do you know the other guy's name?
John, you're echoing a bit. Wanda is echoing through your speakers.
Oh, God damn it.
No, it's not you, Wanda. It's going through John's speakers.
It's It's Othniel Charles Marsh. So a guy named Marsh and a guy named Edward Drinker Cove. I mean, and they're Freemasons. And this is where the whole dinosaur started from. All right, what's happened? Am I lost?
No. See, that's what gets me wonder is like dinosaurs. It's fairly easy to prove that they're fake, and the stories behind dinosaurs are fascinating, right?
No.
And yet,
No.
even though some people claim to know this, they still would rather sit around listening to people talk about the shape of the Earth. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like why are people still talking about the same shit all this time later when there's other stuff that's barely been scratched? Like the surface has barely been scratched.
You're assuming that everybody is just one-dimensional.
What do you mean?
Well, you're assuming because you witness 10,000 people show up to watch Ghostbusters, that's all they ever do. Glowbusters. You assume that's all they do. That's the only dimension they have. Some of them, maybe that's the only dimension they have, but I have many dimensions.
You might, but what about the vast majority of their viewers? Do we have any evidence that any of these people do anything with their lives other than what they used to do, plus listen to these people talk about the same shit they have for 12 months?
Right, I agree with you in that respect, but then again...
Their lives are no different. Most of these people, their lives are no different to what they were before they discovered the Earth is flat. Their lives are no different. They'll tell you, oh, we've discovered peace and love. Watch how they react as soon as someone says, yeah, here's a problem with your flat Earth belief system. They act like minions. They go into like a Pavlovian trained response, name-calling, shouting, banning people, shutting down dissent. These people haven't found peace and love at all.
That's not the first time I've seen this, man. Right?
Yeah.
This latest manifestation of this is this flat Earth movement in quotation marks. Seen it back years ago, right? It was people form groups about like chemtrails or form groups about the free man. Same fucking thing. Do you know what we used to call it in the old days, man? We call it woo-woo. Oh, here comes someone else with fucking more woo-woo. We've got the woo-woo brigade in, and it's the same fucking thing. New agey, and then the cultish type behavior and the groups that form and the fucking, the attack dogs on the outside who haven't got a clue, by the way. I call them cheerleaders. They haven't even fucking, they might have maybe looked at 2 fucking videos. They, never mind research. They just look at a couple of fucking, videos and the Earth is flat as far as they're concerned now. And it's ridiculous. And what I've been witnessing as well, I know there's people out there and they're doing their best. They think they're fucking onto something. But you see it, the bigger group with the agenda is the one that has the most followers. And then, some of them come out of nowhere and all of a sudden they're fucking, the go-to guy. Even though they haven't done any experiments or whatever. And, like, how many experiments can you do apart from some obscure guy letting off, weather balloons and we'll have a look. We haven't seen anything new because it's impossible. Unless somebody can fucking come up with, some sort of device and say, here we go, we're going to fly up high and we're going to look down. And even then, that could be CGI or whatever. I'm not trying to...
Yet, there's some pretty good projects in the works.
I'm just saying, there's an awful lot of certainty out there being exuded by people where there's no fucking certainty. In fact, the only certainty is that fucking nobody really knows anything unless they're part of the elite that might know something, and that's just me speculating. As far as I'm concerned, your guess is as good as mine. But don't give me this fucking dogmatic bullshit and then have a pile of fucking people behind just cheerleading and going along with it.
Well, they can do that, Del, because they know you're going to tune in. That's the whole point, man. These people get off on attention. I'm amazed how often people are like, oh, this person's a paid shill, that person's a paid shill. I'm like, why do you need to pay these people? most people get off just on having attention, man. Like the average person will never have 100 people listening to them live. So if they can have a channel where they get that every Sunday or every Wednesday, whatever, 100 people listening to them live, for the average person, that's an amazing ego boost, and they love it. They can't get enough of it. They get 5,000 views, they get 10,000 views. That's why they're doing it. It's like, how can you sit here and criticize them for doing that when really you're the one tuning in, giving you the bullshit?
No, hang on. I'm not criticizing anybody, man. I'm actually saying my observations. I'm not judging or criticizing. I'm just actually fucking saying what I see, man. What the fuck is all that noise? It's going back through you.
I'm going to mute. It is me. I'm going to check my Logitech.
No, it was going through John there. You know, it wasn't you.
Maybe
Yeah, guys, I'm going to get going. Today I'm working on this video on Tesla, and I was doing research all yesterday for it, and it's fascinating stuff. So I'm going to go and get that done. It takes me a couple of hours to get these things done, so I'm going to get going. But thanks for having me, Del, and to you as well, Wanda. Best of luck with everything, and maybe we'll speak again soon, yeah?
Yeah, well, just make sure to remember that, you know, we're not criticizing people. We're just fucking observing and saying what we see about it, you know?
Like, yeah, I didn't mean it like that, man. I didn't mean like, I know you're not judgmental, man. You're a pretty cool guy. What I'm saying is,
yeah, you're pretty precise in your observation. So, you know, just keep it on the real, you know.
But to me, it's pretty obvious what's happening here. It's like there's a bunch of people who enjoy being watched. There's a bunch of people who enjoy watching them. And so long as everyone's honest about it, there's no problem. The problem is when the people who enjoy being watched pretend they're giving truth, which they're not, and when the people who are watching pretend that they're watching for truth, which they're not. It's the pretense. It's the false pretense. Whereas if everyone was just honest with themselves, if Group A was saying, we're going to do a show because we love the attention, and Group B was saying, we're going to watch your show and give you attention because we love the feelings, hey, I'd have no problems. The issue is these people pretending it's about truth when it clearly isn't. But anyway, I've got to get going, guys. You guys take care, all right?
Yeah. All right, John, before you go. Never mind. He's gone. I just want to say I'm just trying to navigate my world, and I don't give a shit. I don't, you know, personally, I enjoy chatting with you, Del.
Yeah, and listen, nobody has to answer to John LeBon. He's on his own trip, so if he can't even fucking, you know, stay to just clarify points.
Well, he's
that's it.
Young. He's young. Give him that.
He's a young lad. I've got fucking sons older than him, you know.
Give him that.
He's still
I love that. You know? I applaud it. I think it's wonderful. I like John. It's hard not to like him. Applaud it.